Okay, can we hear me? I hope we can. Because I am... Oh, you can see me. Hold on. Oh, long day today. The strokes are trending. What's that about? Can we hear me? Can we hear me? Okay. There we go. I can hear me. I wanted a big reveal in my fucking tux, but messed that one up. Oh well. Oh well. So here we are. Movie Crap Live Oscar reactions. Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and it's time to talk about the 92nd Academy Awards. Yes, I'm in a tux. I'm wearing a tie that I actually had to buy. If you noticed in the picture with my daughter, I was not wearing a tie because I lost my one. You didn't need to know that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because we are here now. Hey, Ramiro. We are here now to talk about what happened last night. That's all we're talking about. Other news that does not involve things that are not Oscar nominated is things that I be talking about on next Saturday, not today. So, I mean, you can ask me, but, you know, if that's why you're like, why isn't he talking about that thing? There is a reason. So, yes, we're going to be talking about, well, I have more than one tie, but it has to be a black tie. It doesn't look as good. It's, you know, I want to look good. I want to look good for you guys. Alex only has one tie. I love it. Anyway, thank you all for being here on a special Monday night edition. Before we get into it, let me tell you how all this works. There is basically all of my content, for the most part, is supported by you, the viewer, viewers like you, either through Super Chat during the show or through Patreon. There's lots of great rewards. In fact, me trying to tie a tie video from several years ago, I reposted on there. I have over 100 videos of exclusive content, but also Super Chats help as well. And I will drink a Red Bull to you. And if you are not able to do that, just watching and liking is good enough. But yes, all your support is I'm very grateful for all your support. But I cannot wear a bow tie, Zane Powers. That I just got stressed out. You thinking that I could? The fact that this happened in 2 tries is amazing. And my father-in-law had to make it look a little nicer for me too. So I'm not good at this. Don't. Oh my God. Why'd you do that? You just messed up my whole. I'm totally off now. But anyway, so the big thing that happened last night, the impossible, the big record-breaking thing was that a foreign language film finally won Best Picture. It finally happened, and it happened last night with Parasite. I know I predicted it, but to be honest, I did not think that was going to happen. And it was, frankly, incredible. And we have the first Super Chat of the night from Will. Said we need to get Jim in the Lost Men in Black 21 Jump Street crossover for that fly suit alone. Thank you very much, Will. Cheers to you. Oh, man. The Red Bull should be drank with a wine glass. I kind of want to get up and do that. So, anyway, that's a great idea, Chili Chap. We're talking about Crash, right? No, we are not. Cheers to you. I will mention a little. Austin. All right. So, it made... This is the tux I wear at the Monster Trucks premiere. It was a crazy night. The Parasite won 4 Oscars. Won the first Best Picture foreign language film. First time foreign language film has ever won Best Picture. Only the second time a film has won Palme d'Or and Best Picture. Second time that's ever happened. Hold on. Okay, Reservoir Jim from Ransom Film. And fun fact, Pumbaa was the first character to fart in a Disney animated film. That's weird, but okay, cheers to you. Does everyone really want this wine glass thing? Anyway, let me get through the thing about Best Picture. We'll talk about the wine glass thing. I'm not against this. But cheers to William Elfman and Ransom Film. Thank you for the Super Chats. Thank you for the support. So, here's the thing. It is crazy that a film that won Palme d'Or then one Best Picture obviously is the first foreign film to do both, but obviously it's the best foreign film to do, win Best Picture as well. It is a huge, momentous occasion. Bong Joon-ho won 4 Academy Awards in one night. There's some argument about that because apparently if you win Best Foreign Film, it goes to the country, not the director, which is all sorts of bullshit if that shit is true. I'm getting a lot of things about this wine glass thing. Let's get through this and then how about I'll get up and do it if you really want me to. But it is a crazy thing. So yeah, people are saying that Best International Film or what was formerly Best Foreign Film goes to the country and the director just accepts it, which I was not aware of. So in that case, if he had won 4, he ties with Disney. Another super chat from Cool Turtle Boy. Sorry, thank you very much for that. Cheers to you. Walt Disney, basically how he won 4 in one night, he swept the shorts category, which I didn't even know anyone thought of doing that, but he won documentary, animated, and best live action, or what was best two-reeler, and best documentary all in the same night. So it's interesting when a film sweeps all like the smaller categories, and then you're kind of like surprised by it, because later you're reading like, well, that won the most Oscars, but this one Best Picture? Like, I think Terminator 2 won like 5 Oscars that year. But yeah, Disney won those 4 in the 50s for that. But they're saying that technically, under this stupid provision, that he won 3. Not a lot of people have won 3. Only a select group. I'm going to list them off after I acknowledge a super chat from Rand San Film. Parasite was my second pick, so I am happy. Cheers to you, and I'm glad you're happy. Going to the country, I think, is immensely stupid, because why in the world does that make any sense? But the following people, if he'd won 4 Oscars for one film, that would be the most someone has won for one individual film, if that is true. But they're saying if it is 3, God damn it, that pisses me off the more I think about it. I just like posted that in this document, and then now I'm like really taking it in. But if we did 3, other people have won 3. I only looked up 2 of the people, and I don't know how these people each won 3. But Will points out that there was a huge snub for Nothing Really Happens not receiving a original screenplay, which I know is a film that he really liked. Cheers to you. But here are the people who won 3 in one night. I know James Cameron won for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Editing. Was not nominated for Best Screenplay that year. And Lord of the Rings, 2 people from that, which I think is the first... 2 people that happened twice for the Coen brothers and Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh. Peter Jackson won Director, Picture with Fran Walsh, and Screenplay. And Fran Walsh won for Song, Screenplay, and Picture. That's how that works. And then James L. Brooks for Terms of Endearment. Francis Ford Coppola for Godfather Part 2, which I imagine was Screenplay, Picture, and Directing. Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu for Birdman. Oh, so wait, does that mean Karan did not win 3 last year for... Did he get a run for writing? I guess he just won 2. But yeah, did I get everybody? Inarritu for Birdman, Billy Wilder for The Apartment, that's a pretty big one. But the things that Walt Disney won for is Best Short Subject Cartoon, Toot Whistle, Plunk and Bloom, which I wonder is on Disney+. Documentary feature, The Living Desert, also wonder if that's on Disney+. The Alaskan Eskimo, documentary short. And live action short, Bear Country. You know, maybe I should look that up. Look up some of those. Maybe I'll review them on the next one that happened. It's also interesting that the last 2 winners of Best Director have been also winners of Best International, or what was last year Best Foreign Film, both with Alfonso Cuarón last year with Roma, and this year with Parasite. It's only the second time a foreign language film has won for Best Director as well. Other foreign directors have won Best Director, like duh, but that is the only choice that has happened. Now, should I get this wine glass? Should I do it? Is it not classy enough? Before we go on to animation, and then I will go through everything in the show. Maybe I'll talk about the show itself. I'm nervous about this wine glass thing. I think it's stupid, and everyone else in my apartment is going to think I'm dumb. But I thought the show was Well, let's talk about animation. So I see a lot of people. Yes, Courtney says yes. Do it. Okay, that's 3. I will be right back. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm wearing the pants too. If anyone's. All right. Can anyone hear? We did it, gamers. All right. So, Rob and Charlie from Always Sunny always have Apple show. Sunny have an Apple show. Oh, yes, you're right. They do. All right. Here we go. This is some classy shit right here. Oh, my parents don't watch this. All right. Anyway. Cheers to you, chat. And thank you for the super chat, Ransom. Red Bull smells worse than a wine glass. Well, let's put this here as a triumph. Only parts I saw live were Best Picture and animated. That's interesting, Zane Powers. So you watched like the beginning and the end? That's also Joanna Man. Thank you, Bruce. Or did you say Joanna? I think you did. Anyway. Alex, get your rye whiskey. Let's do this. I'm not drinking whiskey though, but you should. Okay, so before we get to animation, let me say Parasite is going to be in more theaters this weekend. If you've not seen Parasite, which there is a theory, by the way, before I get into animation again, that Parasite won Best Picture because no one really knew about it. I'm glad no one really spoiled it. They had a few clips that sort of spoil the movie, but no one has, and people are saying that really helped it because it would have been spoiled in Overwatch the first week it was on Netflix. It is also interesting, this win makes me think about how Netflix seems to get these directors, get them to do a big project, and very few of them stay. They also always go off and do other projects for other studios, which is not a good sign. I've actually never heard anything bad about them, and I'm curious what the thesis of that is. So Alex is drinking. Awesome. So basically, I think that might have had something to do with it. Will, shout out again to Away for being snubbed for animation nom. Fantastic film, guys. Only $3 to rent on Prime. Cheers to you. I should watch it at some point. I don't know when I will. But a lot of people are saying. Also, I think The Irishman is like too difficult, and I didn't actually like it that much. I should at some point edit my review, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But I have actually watched and shot reviews of all the Best Pictures, but I didn't get to edit them. But I think that did have something to do with it because there was a nice word of mouth. But like, let's be real here. There is something about the Oscars that no one really talks about, and it so rarely happens. It's so rare. That was gross. It so rarely happens that sometimes films win just for being films that people really like. That happened with Bridge of Spies when that won Best Supporting. A lot of people just said, he didn't do any campaigning, but I just really like that guy. And I think with Parasite, it was when I walked out, it was like, that's a fucking classic. That's a classic. I knew it. And so I think a lot of people saw it who I've talked to and go, yeah, but that's a great movie, no question. And I think especially with the preferential voting, that's going to win because the thing that everyone agrees that Parasite is great, it's going to win. And I think Moonlight had that. This is similar to the Moonlight year. If you look at everything that everyone won, it won because when it won like La La Land, won like all the Golden Globes and all the other things. But I think with the Oscars, they really do have a sense of importance because no one gives a shit what one musical or comedy for the Golden Globes unless it's mad embarrassing. Best Picture for the Oscars, that is a big thing. That does hold a weight to it, and you don't want to just throw that away to something. And I think I think the 1917 thing wasn't stupid because that was an experience. That was a theatrical experience. That was something you want to go to the movies to see. And I don't think Irishman. I don't think it had that in it. I think Hollywood, What's Upon Hollywood, I could see what happened. But I also think the La La Land Moonlight thing was maybe the best thing to happen to the Oscars. Last night was one of the better ones because it made you think. Like, I've heard people in the animation community, Paleo tweeted it. If Paleo's still here, big up to Paleo for saying, like, maybe an animated film should win. I know a lot of people have said that. Maybe a documentary should win. And it felt possible last night. And I think that's something the Academy needs. It needs a thing that makes you go, oh shit, they shook it up. So, let's talk about animation because I know you guys are riled up about that. Toy Story 4 won last night, and I think all of us really wanted. Thank you, Saber. I feel classy, like my Red Bull in the glass there. But Toy Story 4 won. Obviously, we are all very upset about that because everyone wanted Klaus to win, and it didn't, and that is definitely unfortunate. But I think one of the reasons for that is, and a lot of people brought up that it is hard for Netflix to win. Its most major category is still Best Director. It did have its first acting win, which was Best Supporting Actress, which is a big deal. Don't get me wrong about that. But I think animation, as much as I was talking about how they've totally changed everything, I think there was a certain apprehension for people for it to for them to get away with that, and especially other voters. The animation community seems to have no problem with it. Ransan Film asks, "What's Sophie's favorite film of the year?" Well, interesting you bring that up, and you kind of helped me with this. Cheers to you, this classy movie crap live. It's fucking classy as shit right here, motherfucker. Oh yeah, welcome, the late night movie news show. But I think with Sophie really liked Toy Story 4. We actually watched it today, and I don't think Toy Story 4 is a bad movie. I think there are certain times Pixar and Disney have won, and they won for films that were not. I don't think they really won for a bad movie. I'm sure the chat's going to disagree with me on that to a certain degree. I think like Brave winning wasn't great. I don't think Big Hero 6. I don't think is a bad movie, but I think the year it won against. Didn't it win against Kaguya and like a bunch of stuff? I think Toy Story 4 was very good. It's and it's actually the only animation franchise to have 2 Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature. Is the Toy Story franchise good enough for that? I mean, it might be one of the best Hollywood animation franchises. Was that film really good? Fuck yeah. It was a good movie. But, let's, before you get upset, I think Klaus meant more to win. Because what has been holding back animation is not a distributor who's going to put out different animation voices like Netflix does. If you look at what they're doing with just animation in TV, the terms She-Ra and BoJack and Big Mouth, which is a gross show, ugh. But they're still putting out different voices. And you look at their 2 nominees who are getting the most buzz. The only one this was an interesting category because every single one was getting buzz but How to Train Your Dragon 3. It was like Missing Link 1, and that was getting, like, it was getting so many different interviews. And, I Lost My Body was getting a lot of buzz, actually. I think that helped that film out a lot. And I think, if anything, this is a triumph for Netflix just being nominated twice because it showed that G-Kids has got to change its shit up, and they're clearly not. And they've been a stubborn company for a long time, and I haven't liked what they're doing. But Netflix is like, everyone saw Klaus because of the nomination, and it was already a huge hit. They have really accomplished something, and I think they should have been acknowledged for that. Because I think in 20 years, we're going to look at all the great stuff that Netflix has distributed for animation, and it's going to be fucking embarrassing that you just went with Toy Story 4. However, Toy Story 4 is still a good movie. Regardless of what we're trying to say with animation history, this is not this film got left out. I do wish, by the way, a lot of people, maybe Big Mouth gets better. I just thought it was gross having 35-year-olds talk about 12-year-olds having erections and masturbating. Not something I'm totally into at this point in my life, or ever. But I do wish Primal got nominated. I don't think it could have won, but I think Primal, by the way, if people are going to question this, Primal was played in a theater for the exact length amount of time to be nominated for Best Animated Feature. And so theoretically it could have been nominated. You have to like have a film play for a week in a single theater in LA for a certain amount of showtimes, and they did everything by the book. And they did make the shortlist, so they could have been, and I think it should have gotten in there. But all the shit talking on Toy Story 4, I get why everyone's upset. I think Klaus was a better movie, by the way. I got Sophie to be into both, which she obviously didn't see I Lost My Body. But I think that's a great movie. But I think, let's look at what this category did over this course of this season. I Lost My Body is not an animation movie that I'm hearing major movie pundits talk about. It just doesn't happen. And they were talking about it, and they were spreading the word, and actually saying fantastic things about it. That's good for animation. So, and Netflix did that. And I think, they should have been rewarded for it. And it's fucking dumb they weren't, and I think that's unfortunate. But there's a lot of good done this year with animation. I know, like Pan, and I've heard other people say it was a bad year for animated movies. I don't think it was. I think this is a year that's going to see a lot of stuff change, and we're going to see with the Glenn Keane movie next year, things change. But now, as much as I kind of calmed you down, let's rile you up again, because here's some interesting animation feature facts. So, Jonas Rivera has won 2 Best Animated Feature Oscars for Inside Out and for Toy Story 4. He's a producer. Producers did not win previously up until about 2013 with Frozen, or 2014. I'm not exactly sure why they changed that. Okay, Ransom Films is a bit... Okay, how long have you been married for? Do you watch John Waters movies with your wife? Cheers to you on the miss. I think we have not the extreme ones yet. And we've been married since 2009. So, if you wanted to know that, I guess. There we go. Cheers to you. Oh, yeah. Let's put this on display, because I'm never doing that again. That's weird. Anyway, so Jonas Rivera has won 2 Best Animated Feature Oscars. That would put him tied with the likes of Brad Bird, Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, basically everyone from Pixar has 2 Best Animated Feature Oscars. No one who is not in Pixar has a Best Animated Feature Oscar, which is bullshit. However, here's an interesting thing about Jonas Rivera. Jonas Rivera produced Up. Up won Best Animated Feature. At that time, he would not get an Oscar for Up. Only Pete Docter would. However, if the rules were different, which they're not, but if they were, he would actually have 3 and be the most, have the most Best Animated Feature Oscars of all time, if that was true. Will brings up a really good point, which I like this, Will. There's great animated films every year, even for 2019. People just have to find them. There we go, Will. Cheers. That is a good statement there. Thank you for the super chat. Classy. I feel like a little kid with soda in a wine glass, but whatever. That is kind of interesting that I think Pete Docter will get his 3rd next year, judging by how Pixar almost always wins. If Soul is as good as everyone hopes it is, Pete Docter will have the most and break like the streak that all these people have had to, will keep having to, which is unfortunate. Jim, who would win in an arm wrestling contest, Klaus from Klaus or Woody from Toy Story 4? But he's only cheered on by Tom Hanks as far as Gump. Well, cheers to you, Saber. I'm surprised you brought up an arm wrestling thing, and the hand from I Lost My Body is not in that. I don't know. I would have put that in there. But I would say Klaus would. But Klaus has like a huge hand. Like Klaus could crush everyone in Toy Story 4, much like how Chucky did in that ad campaign we all forgot about. So I would say Klaus would definitely win, while Forrest Gump screams, "No, Woody, please don't." And, and the hand from I Lost My Body just like does a golf clap like this. Anyway, so also, Pixar now has 10 wins, which is the most ever, obviously. The second most, if you didn't think Pixar had way too many of these animated feature Oscars, is Disney with 3. No studio ever has won more than one that isn't Pixar or Disney, which is the same thing, so that's fucked up. All right. Yeah, but it is interesting. Producers were not nominated before last year, and it is fucked up about animated feature. All right, so should I take my girlfriend to Sonic this Valentine's Day? If you think your relationship is strong enough, you know, I don't know. There's a great Knock Forest short about it called Vagina Street. Check it out. Cheers to you. Someone should make a drinking game. Every time I drink a Red Bull, they drink and tell me how long it takes for them to get drunk. Hair Love won Best Animated Short. This sort of makes sense mostly because it got... You know, I kind of thought Memorable would. Everyone I knew who follows the short categories and the animated short things were telling me Memorable made the biggest splash. And I definitely think it is the best short, even though I love Hair Love. But I think the thing with Hair Love is that, think of an animated short that got more press before the Oscar thing and has celebrities. Issa Rae's in it, is the voice. Jordan Peele helped promote it. Peter Ramsey helped produce it. The guy actually works for Monkey Paw, which is Jordan Peele's production company. It was a big deal. It is also... So here's the thing. Someone brought this up, but this is the first time a African American animation director has won in Best Short Film. The first African American animation director to win was Peter Ramsey last year with Best Animated Feature with Spider-Verse, which that took too long. And the first African American to win totally for animation was Kobe Bryant, believe it or not, for Best Animated Short. For that short, which was controversial at the time, I noticed it is not controversial now. What's up with that? Interesting. But it shouldn't have been, because he did actually produce the animated thing, and he made it with Gil Keane. So if you're gonna fuck around with animation, he did it the right way, I gotta say. Even though he definitely won for having a short about Kobe Bryant, but still. But Matthew A. Cherry won, along with Karen Rupert Tolliver. I've noticed other of the directors have posted on social media that they also won. I'm a little confused because I don't see their names listing, particularly Bruce W. Smith. I guess they won as well. I don't know how that works. It seems very confusing to me. But regardless, to my understanding, those are the first African-American animation directors to win in that category. I think Hair Love is a wonderful short. If you haven't seen it, watch it. A couple of people who saw it more recently said, "Oh, I can tell why you cried at that, because it's about a daughter and a parent being on YouTube, and it just, it melts me to a degree that you have no clue. It is fucking, oh god, I can't even talk about that. It's so, yeah. But I think it was wonderful it won because of what it was saying. I thought it was a nice short. I was like, is Pixar going to win like 3 Oscars tonight? Because I don't think that was going to go over well if Pixar won. Because it could have. It was the only animation studio up for that many last night. And Kid Pool was good. They were all good shorts, so check them all out if you can. But I think Hair Love meant more to people. That's what I think. It meant more. It meant more. It meant more about... it meant more about like black hair, about parenthood. It meant more to everyone. And I think that's why it won. Because Memorable, yes, maybe is a better short. It's more experimental. It's more interesting. But Hair Love meant something to people, and that makes a fucking difference. And, you know, you can be sort of a okay movie, but if you meant something, you changed someone's mind, and you woke them up, and you ruined the first 15 minutes of Angry Birds 2, which is clearly probably why... I actually think that is sort of why it won. But Angry Birds 2, it would have been nice that was... I don't know. You know what? If there was a 6th or 7th category, Angry Birds 2 is a little underrated, I gotta say. Anyway... yeah, Paleo, good quote there from Paleo. Hair Love was so impactful that I completely forgot the movie it was attached to. I agree. Yeah, no, people are forgetting it was attached to Angry Birds 2, but Animat actually said he wanted to like leave and come back and start the movie because it was really hard to concentrate. It was that good because you're so moved by it. So that's an impact. I think that's one of the things we should take away from this Oscars is impact. And another thing before I get into a momentous win is one of the things that really makes a difference, because I think the Academy's talked a lot about changing its voting block. And I was saying before, the big thing that changed over this time is more world cinema, more international cinema being involved in the voting block. And you saw that with 3 films nominated for Best International Cinema, or whatever that stupid category is called. Pain and Glory getting a Best Actor and Best International Film. Parasite and Honeyland. And that never happened before. And I think Parasite winning is kind of the showing that voting block, showing that whole arc of that voting block finally pushing that forward, and everyone wanted more representation within Hollywood, and it seems like people looked for representation outside of Hollywood, which is still good, by the way. But it is interesting that narrative was one that people weren't necessarily talking about, and I feel like with Parasite winning Best Picture, we are going to be talking about it a lot more. But it is good. Honeyland is one that didn't win, but I think got 2 nominations that makes me really want to see it. I think I might review it anyway, just because it seems pretty cool. And it shows, how often have films, won international and Best Picture, international and Best Documentary, Best Act, all these different international films breaking into other categories is really interesting. Now, before I get into the best score thing, I have this Valentine's date with a new GF advice. Try to be yourself and try to, just be chill. Just do things that you think she would be into and also you would be into, so you have a common bond. I actually tell that to most people. Just find something that you think you guys can share together that you're both into, and that will foster a new relationship. That's some real shit right there from Dr. Jim on Movie Crap Live. How's it going, baby? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Giving out some life advice. All right. A couple of people bring up the Best Director thing. I wanted to let's talk about that for a second. Can I have a date to take? Can I get a date to take to Sonic on Valentine's Day? You can take Tails. I hear he's, not busy. Or, is there a girl Sonic or something? I'm sure there is, and I'm sure. Oh man, I'm gonna have to open up the second Red Bull. This is a crazy night tonight. Thank you for the super chat, Rand Senfil. I hope my advice worked. Thank you for the super chat as well, Zane Powers. And this is Movie Crap Live, feeling classy. Jim, more like Dr. Love, am I right? But yeah, when Bong Joon-ho won Best Director, and everyone was bringing up how he basically saluted to great directors, and then went, yeah, and Sam Mendes and that other guy, the Hangover guy, they're great too. Am I right, guys? They're cool. But it is true. Scorsese, here's the thing about Scorsese, but I don't think a lot of people realize, he is not just big to American directors. He is big to all of cinema. Like, in world cinema, you fucking study Scorsese. He makes the Sight and Sound list high. He's got cinema all over him. So anybody who thinks that he's not influencing world cinema doesn't know what's going on, because Martin Scorsese is that big, and he was going to get saluted by anyone in that category who wasn't him. Tarantino would have. Maybe he wouldn't have. But the other guy, Todd Phillips, basically, come on, you couldn't not. That would be embarrassing. But Martin Scorsese is one of the greats. He's the most Oscar-nominated director as well, but he's one of the greats, and it made sense that he would actually do that. It makes total sense to me. Bong Joon-ho also brought up Tarantino. What he said about Tarantino is true. Tarantino has been promoting him since day one. I've seen those top 10s lists. I read those interviews. I know he was promoting Bong Joon-ho, and that meant a lot, and I think it meant a lot to him. I didn't like this constant thing in the Oscars when everyone was like, couldn't everybody get an Oscar, which they always say. First off, guys, you've been campaigning for months. You know how this was going to work. It is you were shit-talking the other movies, all this stuff. Now that you win, you're like, no, but I wish competition wasn't a thing. I tweeted this on the night, but there is an actor who one of the great actors of all time, which is George C. Scott, who had a lot of alcohol problems and lost his career several times for doing this, but he didn't go to the Oscars because he didn't agree with art competing with each other. He didn't think art should do that. And so he never went. And he won Best Actor for Patton. He was in Dr. Strangelove. George C. Scott had a crazy good career. And he was constantly awarded awards because you couldn't not award him those. And maybe you can say all those things. Maybe you can say he could only get away with that because of his privilege or something like that. I agree. But I think if you really are going to... everyone keeps saying that. annoyed me because I know other filmmakers and stuff have not gone because of that. And if you want to put your money where your fucking mouth is, don't show up. But don't say that. Like, that's so, like, I hate that crap. Like, you know how this thing works. Like, this is not news to you. You know how this works. So don't, like, act like you're all chill and you want everyone to get an Oscar. Like, come on, man. You know, you won this triumph. You campaigned. We all know how this campaigning works. You were very aware of how this was going. Don't, like, get up there and act for, you know, hundreds of millions of people like, you know, you totally... I wouldn't normally do this, but, you know, I won. But I would give one to everyone. Like, come on. Whatever, dude. I don't buy that crap. But Rand 7 Film says, I wanted Tarantino to win, but I am happy Bong won. I said that weird. Thank you for the super chat there, for Rand 7 Film. Cheers to you. Next super chat, I will open another one. But I also think it was interesting Spike Lee giving that out, because I was like, I cannot imagine he likes Todd Phillips. And I also cannot imagine him and Tarantino have a long history of not liking each other. That would be fucking awkward as shit. Like, who came up with that one? I thought it should have been Alfonso Cuarón, because how meaningful would it be, the last director who won for a foreign language film, giving a directing Oscar to the next winner of foreign language. They don't do that for Best Director. The past Best Director doesn't give out to the next one. And I was like, there was a time, no joke, Martin Scorsese gave a Best Directing Oscar to the Coen brothers. That was awesome. Like, do stuff like that. Or like when Scorsese won, they had George Lucas, Coppola, and Spielberg come out. And that meant something. Like, do stuff like that. Like, that was one of the things I didn't like about the awards, is there's no consistency. And there are certain things, like, they could have had a montage for South Korean film, which has had a crazy couple decades. Like, finding out that realizing Oldboy or I Saw the Devil had never been nominated, or The Handmaiden, or think of all the great South Korean film that happened in the 2000s, and they just like, you know, I mean, let's just not. It was just ridiculous to me. Like, I wish they hadn't brought that up, because it made me go, wait a minute, no South Korean film's ever been nominated. Oldboy's from South Korea. What the fuck? Like, how did you not do that? That's just ridiculous. Anyway, so kind of one of the bigger things that happened last night. So Hildur Gudrun or whatever, is the first female to win Best Original Score. Now, we're going to get into a lot of Oscar nonsense with categories, but I've actually talked about this category in... Oh, speaking of Oldboy, yeah, Spike Lee did direct the remake of Oldboy. Interesting. But I actually talked about this category. 2 other women have won Oscars for original scores, but they have not won Best Original Score. Last night was the first time a female composer has won an Oscar for Best Original Score, with a statuette that says Best Original Score. The other 2 that won for Best Musical or Comedy Score. That category was invented because people felt Disney and the Disney Renaissance was winning too much of Best Original Score. They felt they were really winning for all the songs and not the score, or what they call the underscore, which is like whatever. And they made this separate categories for Best Dramatic Score and Best Musical or Comedy Score, so 2 composers would win every year. They only did that for a couple years, but I have made a video of it, which is going to be in the card. Is going to be on a card if you're watching this later, basically. My OBS is being weird. I'm not frozen, I guess. But am I frozen? I don't look frozen. Anyway, that was strange. But yeah, so basically what, you should check out that video I made about best musical or comedy. It goes into how the first woman to ever win best for a score won for Emma in 1996, and Full Monty, the film that seems to always be in the movie review vote. I should probably just read it at some point. Oh, I am frozen? Oh, why did that happen? Hold on, let's try something. Why is it frozen? Oh, man. Okay. I don't know how to switch it. Let me try something real quick. We can switch. Can we? Okay. I think we are back. At least on here. We should be back shortly. Okay. No. I think we have fixed it. I just reloaded something. So you should see it shortly. Sorry about that. That's a new one. It took me a while to notice, I guess. Sorry about all that. Let's see when it comes back on the thing. Okay. Unfrozen. But anyway, so Joker 1 is the first time. Sorry about all that. Is the first time a female has won. Other women have won for Best Song Score, Best Musical or Comedy Score, but for the actual category of Best Original Score, that was the first time. Another female a composer won for Best Song Score, and that was for Yentl in 1983, and she won with someone else. Prince actually won for that weird category, Best Song Score. They always have these weird musical categories that are kind of strange, but yeah, so that's kind of a big deal. It isn't the first time, to be specific, it is not the first time a female has won, a solo won for Best Score. It is just the first time it's won for Best Original Score. And if you'd like to learn the history of Best Musical or Comedy Score, I do have a video. Thank you guys for being patient. I'm not sure why that happened. If it happens again, we'll get into it. All right, Elton John. I'm just going through kind of the fancier things. Elton John won his second Oscar. It's his fourth nomination. If you're wondering, what were those 4 other songs? They're all Lion King songs, except for Last Night. He was nominated 3 times for the year Lion King came out. Best Documentary is the second time. Netflix is one. It was interesting. A lot of people were talking about when Ford v Ferrari won. Talk about Best Editing, how you have to win Best Editing, win Best Picture. That actually hasn't happened since Argo in this decade. All of them win for films that didn't win Best Picture. Ford v Ferrari continued that thing, which is interesting. Now, before I'll talk about the Eminem thing, and then I'll just go through what else is here. So I read up on the Eminem performance, and it's kind of interesting what the deal is with. You guys making Frozen puns makes me nervous. So Eminem's performance was interesting in that, and instantly when I saw it, I thought, this is crazy because he did not perform. I watched that Oscars, and he didn't perform because he thought they were going to censor him, and he wasn't really into going, and it wasn't his sort of venue. He didn't want to do it. So, basically, I imagine that when he showed up that they did what the Video Music Awards did a long time with Guns N' Roses, where for years and years they would ask Guns N' Roses, hey, do you want to be on the Video Music Awards? Can you do this performance? And eventually they said yes. Apparently they had long thought about, we should ask Eminem to come back and do it. And supposedly when Justin Timberlake did the song from Trolls, that was the first year they consider it. But they didn't actually ask him till this year. So it seems like something they were just like batting around, and they had a better relationship with Interscope, and they asked Interscope, and then they asked Eminem, and he did the performance. But I gotta say, like, it was cool seeing him do the performance. Eminem is a good... No, I wasn't going to talk about the actual Eminem commercials. That's funny, though, that you guys thought that. But it's sort of interesting that they had him do it, but I kind of like don't get like why would you have someone do that during that show specifically? Like, it didn't really connect to anything. That was kind of one of my larger problems with the Oscars anyway, but it was a good performance, but it was kind of weird. Like, you're talking about all this diversity and you bring Eminem out. It's like, I don't know like what the real point of that was. Like, it was a good performance. I agree he should finally have that Oscar moment, but it was kind of like, is there like a white rapper who has a movie that's getting nominated or something? Like, one of the things I think the Grammys is good at is if, like, when Outkast was up for a lot of Oscars, they had Outkast come out with P-Funk. They have like other people in that genre come out and like show like, hey, this is not just a night for this performer, it's a night for this genre. And it would have been cool if they did, like I was saying, did a thing about South Korean film, or did a film about World War I film, or did a montage about car racing, or did a montage about comic book movies because Joker was nominated or something like that, or about Martin Scorsese. But they don't really do that, and they just kind of randomly do stuff. And the Eminem thing was like they did this best song thing, and then when they stalled on Eminem, I was like, what is going on? It just felt really strange. I gotta say, it just felt strange. So I wasn't into that, to be honest. All right, let's just go through anything I forgot about. I was a little I guessed visual effects for 1917. I think it would have been nice. I think as it got closer, a lot of people were like, I think Endgame probably should have gotten it, because Endgame deserves something for how momentous of a film it was. Thank God it wasn't Lion King. I forgot to predict fifth grade eating mom spaghetti. Nice. I thought it was, I forgot to predict best costume design, but I guess it was obvious it was Little Women, and a couple of people brought up to me that the costumes had a lot to do with the plot. So it sort of makes sense, because the movie draws your attention to it. It's sad that was the only thing Little Women won. A lot was brought up about how no female directors really won, except for best documentary short, which I don't know, and best was it best documentary as well? I think both went to female directors. I don't know if Julia Wright, was she a director or she's a producer? Well, it says a filmmaker and a feminist, but I don't. Anyway, some women filmmakers, regardless. Oh no, she did help direct that. Female directors did win, all in documentary, but there was a lot of talk of that. But I was sort of like, guys, don't act like you're so woke and so pro female filmmakers when you don't ever do that. You don't ever nominate these people. And the fact that they kept bringing it up, I found to be a little insulting. Like eventually I was like, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, you're not, like, you are the people. Like, I hate when the Oscars do that, like make a lot of Oscars so white jokes, and you're like, yeah, but you are the Oscars. Like, the Golden Globes can make those jokes about you. You can't, it's like, doesn't really, you're not really being self-deprecating. You're just like getting like, haha, get it? We're terrible. And you're like, I guess, guys, like, just stop bringing it up. I found that to be obnoxious. But it was interesting that both Best Documentary Short Subject and Best Documentary Feature female directors won for learning to skateboard in a war zone if you're a girl, which I think, was Tony Hawk involved in that? Because I saw Tony Hawk in the audience. And I'm just going to, watching me click on stuff, I do not see that he is, the credits on this on Wikipedia aren't great, but I'm going to assume he did something, if anyone saw that. But yeah, and American Factory won. I did find it interesting that Best Documentary, the Oscars, not Jim. Thank you, Bruce Parker. I did find it interesting about Best Documentary, American Factory, because everyone was like, it's a win for Obama, and there seemed to be some confusion because Obama did an interesting thing, and I thought it was a bit morally dubious, but I'm not against Obama politically or anything, but when he produced it, but he also put it on his Best Films of the Year list, and I thought, like, you're not really allowed to do that generally, and I guess people are just like letting Obama do that. But it seemed like people either voted for it or talked about it because either he produced it and they were aware of that, or they knew he really liked it. And I wish they hadn't. Done. He had been clear about that, but that's just a nitpicky thing, I guess. But in live action short, it seemed nice that those people won. It was. Which is The Neighbor's Window, which I didn't really know them. It was interesting when the Best Editing Oscar went to that guy and he thanked his wife for him having a career. That's their own personal choice. I don't think we should get too upset at him and that relationship. That is their choice, but I don't think it played well to the room. Jojo Rabbit, when Taika Waititi won, he's the first Maori person to win an Oscar, and I guess first... I'm not sure how you exactly phrase that, and I don't want to phrase it incorrectly, but he, I guess a first, like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I am not good at phrasing that. Is it he's the first Maori person to win, or first? I do not know how to say that correctly. Anyway, it was a momentous thing that he won, and then Parasite Original Screenplay, Brad Pitt, all the acting wins were expected. Indigenous, there we go. He's the first. Thank you, Tyler. Corner. I'm not good at saying stuff. But yes, best adapted. That was, and I like Taika Waititi. I thought both the best actress and best actor wins were bad speeches. They were just, Renee Zellweger was awkward. You thought she would have been better at it at this point. She seemed like really not sure what to do. I kind of was, when I was up there, I'm like, man, I hope this win gives her a little bit more in terms of roles, but I feel like after that, and Joaquin was just all over the place. But supporting actor and actress were both really good. Speeches from Laura Dern winning the first best acting award for a Netflix movie, and Brad Pitt was just he did a good job at doing both of the at speeches this year in general, but I thought he did a good one. And it was good, it was moving, it was fun, all that stuff. I thought the award show, which was lower, unfortunately, I don't think it played as well without a host as usual. It was interesting who they'd cut to, like Scorsese's reaction to Eminem's performance was hilarious. My wife and I laughed at that. But it was down in viewership. I think they need to get a host. When I saw Chris Rock and Steve Martin, I thought those two could do it, and that would show the diversity of the Oscars, basically. And I think they would both be good, but it seems like no one wants to do it. I hope they can get somebody. I wish The Rock was there as well, but I know his father died recently. Maybe he doesn't want to make any public appearances. I don't think the show flowed very well. And as I was saying, it should have more a sense of continuity, and having people present, like, and Kelly Marie Tran being on it is weird, because I find her on award shows weird because they clearly are like want more diversity, but like she's not really in that much stuff. Like, I like her, but like, aren't there other actors who are like bigger you could have gotten like with the Oscars? Like, it seemed like sometimes they're getting like smaller people to introduce really big people, and I that seemed odd to me. I wish they had done a little bit more in terms of, yeah, like, let's do more about what's winning, what's nominated, things like that. It was interesting who the big wins of the night and everything like that. That, you know, Parasite won 4, 1917 won 3. Oh, I like that. I forgot to talk about Roger Deakins winning Best Cinematography. Of course, I like that. It was interesting, the split of the sound category, Ford v Ferrari, and 1917. Sorry, I forgot to talk about the sound categories. Joker, Ford v Ferrari, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood also winning production design, which I was a little surprised by. But at the same time, with production design, I think I tweeted like, Parasite built a house. I don't actually know what everyone else did. It's like you kind of don't know. So I guess people liked it. I was a little surprised Tarantino didn't walk away with more, but I think getting the tie for most screenplays is a bit much to ask of people, because I think most people, that's a big thing to win. But it was interesting. It kind of spread the love out for various different movies, one winning 4. But if Bong Joon-ho did win 4 for the most wins for one movie, I don't know if they let him keep it or whatever the stipulation is on that nonsense. I think no one else will probably be able to do that because it's really hard to win more than 3, you know. But if he tied, that's fine. But I was thinking today, like, he did a feat that no one's ever been able to do, and I'm kind of curious. Like, he did 2 feats. He won at a foreign film that won Best Picture, which is crazy, and then he won 4, which is another crazy thing. Yeah, I think overall the show was a little stilted. I think last year worked a lot better. Maybe they need a better producer, but I kind of am like, let's go back to a host unless you're going to do a better job of doing it, and have a little more consistency and have a little bit more about the films nominated and the kind of films that are nominated and the kind of film year it was. Because, like, referencing Midsommar and Us in the beginning and not talking about how wealth disparity was a really big thing this year in movies, which I definitely think it was, would have been interesting. You could have talked about that, which goes all the way back to the silent era. Frankly, you could have done a lot more with that and it would have been cool, but they didn't. So, yeah. All right, I have one Patreon question from a user called Male Tears. And then I will answer questions in the chat, and that'll be it. I think I talked about everything in the Oscars. If there was something I didn't, then ask me later. I guess I didn't open the next Red Bull, but oh well. But thank you for all the super chats as well tonight. Anyway, so here was Doolittle was snubbed. Doolittle is not eligible till next year, to be clear. The Cats thing. Before we go on, I thought the Cats thing, it was like kind of funny seeing Cats there, but I thought it was sort of fucked up to like throw the visual effects artists under the bus. I also think what made that movie kind of weird and funny was because Cats had weird special effects. So like, fuck those guys. Also, Rumor Willis, double Razzie nominee this year. She's the Scarlett Johansson of this year's Razzies. It was rich. I don't know. To me, it was like, why were they up there talking shit? I thought that wasn't cool. For me, personally. Anyway, so, Male Tears asks, Mel Tears, how's it going? You're in the chat. Mel Tears asks on Patreon, yeah, I've got a question, Jim. Did you expect all the xenophobes and racists crawling out of the woodwork after Parasite began to sweep? I did not see any of that. I was told about that through various tweets. I did not see that. I expect the Fox News people to go like, look what Hollywood's doing, blah, blah, and I expected stuff like that. But I didn't see much of that, but I guess it is expected for some nonsense like that to happen. And it's unfortunate that it did. I don't think that was cool. I don't think that was cool at all. But I think that's probably why this needs to happen, because one of the things about Parasite getting more screens than I think I've ever heard of a foreign film get and winning Best Picture is some people's first foreign language film will be this weekend or in the next couple weeks or the next year when it comes out on DVD or it's available at the library, it's available on streaming. That to me is all good, and I think that's one of the things the Oscars are really good at, is getting people to see interesting films. And the fact that people are going to see an interesting or different movie, maybe they'll say, hey, you know what, I saw Parasite, I didn't think subtitles would be that bad, so I'm going to see another one. So this is going to be a really great thing. And also, Neon, the distributor, is going to be a bigger deal now. Right when I think a lot of distributors are getting a little more confidence post Weinstein being out of the mix, Neon really came in strong, and I think Neon's going to be a big player for the years to come. All right, so let's go through the questions. Bruce Willis's daughter, I guess because I said rumor. I don't know. All right, questions. Nathaniel Fogel, what do you consider the best year for the Oscars? I'd probably say sometime in the 70s. I definitely think like things like The Godfather, big ones that everyone loves, are good years. The best year I ever saw, this year was good. Moonlight winning Best Picture, I think that might have been the best year. But I also find what's weird about the Oscars is that you watch this 3-hour show and it all comes down to like the last who wins Best Picture, who wins Best Director, things like that, which I always find weird. So as much as like we talk about it, it's usually, I think like there's certain wins like Spider-Verse winning Best Animated Feature was one of my favorite moments. But the Best Picture snafu, I think, was one of my favorites because, my wife was pregnant, we were watching it, it was just such a great moment. I like the moments more than the years, but that might have been one of my favorites just because good shit won, and that's always cool. Also the Fury Road year when that won, so not Best Picture, but the other things. Courtney, question, how was your prediction score for the Oscars? Also, was there any win that really surprised you? Cheers, Jim. Thanks for getting the wine glass out. Thank you, Courtney. That really surprised me. I was surprised Ford v Ferrari won Best Editing, although editing was sort of a weird category this year because so many different things were nominated. But that was kind of a surprise. It made me think more people really liked Ford v Ferrari than we realized. I guess that was a big one that surprised me. I was a little surprised by Hair Love. Those were kind of my bigger ones. Toy Story 4, I don't think was a surprise, but it was a disappointment either way. A question from Zane Powers: if 1917 won, would it have been as bad as when Green Book and Driving Miss Daisy won? How would you have reacted if it did win? I wouldn't have been surprised, and it's not that bad. I think Driving Miss Daisy is because it won the same year Do the Right Thing was released, so that's the big deal with that. Green Book, it's another Spike Lee thing with a Black Klansman, which I don't think maybe should have won. It wasn't my favorite movie of the year, or I think what was the best movie that year. But it being against Spike Lee again was like throwing more salt in the wound, and also it wasn't a good movie. So I don't think it's the same, because 1917 is still I don't think it's bad. It's not a bad movie, and I think Green Book very much was. I've heard Driving Miss Daisy isn't that bad, but it's more of what it represents, and I don't think 1917 represents something that bad. So, but thank you, Zane Powers. I'm glad I got to talk about that. Not Plausible asks, who are you voting for president in 2020, and why is it Jeb Bush, the most exciting person of all time? I don't know who I'm voting for. I'm obviously a little more liberal, so probably someone in the Democrat persuasion, but it's probably not going to be Jeb Bush. Is he running? Or is that a joke? I'm so out of it. I actually don't know. Question, can we talk about Crash? All right, Crash winning was not great. Brokeback Mountain should have won. It's ridiculous it didn't. Everyone was shocked when Crash won, and Crash doesn't hold up well. It's not even good at talking about race because it says you people and none of the racial slurs. And if you're going to talk about race and not talk about the real terms, like, what are you even doing? It's like, you have to be confrontational when talking about racism, and Crash isn't. So that's kind of one of my bigger issues with it, is it didn't have the balls to actually be the movie it tried to be, and that's just upsetting. And Brokeback should have won all of it, what it represented, and Brokeback still holds, a big cultural footprint. It represents something to people. People still love that film, and it's one of the greatest romances of the past 20 years. And it was a huge upset, and it shouldn't have happened, because Ang Lee's a hell of a good fucking filmmaker, and he should have a Best Picture. Instead, him and Alfonso Cuarón are two directors who have two Best Directing Oscars, but not a Best Picture win, and for frankly, for stupid reasons. Although I think Gravity vs. 12 Years a Slave is a bit, but like, and I don't know if I'd give it to Life of Pi, but I do think Life of Pi is better than Argo. But that one kind of hurts. It's like Brokeback Mountain's a great romance, and it should have won. So that, to me, that's what bugs me about it. Is like Crash is such a nothing kind of movie and can't even confront what it's trying to confront. Which is like, it's like a kid who says it can beat someone up and like just can barely say, it's like, I'm gonna freaking hit him. It's like that meme. That is Crash. The kid who's like, just freaking frick. Like, that's Crash. That's Crash confronting racism. Question from Paleo. Hey, Paleo. How long do you think it will be until an animated movie wins Best Picture? I think after last night, I think it's possible. I think the main thing that's holding us back is everyone's stupid views on animation and how that's holding. Buster, do you want to be? Hey, Buster just woke up. Do you want to be on the stream here? Do you want to be on? Sorry if I'm interrupting your serious question about animation. Hey, Buster, what do you think about Best Picture and animation? I know you're a Klaus fan, but Buster's on the stream. Do you want to say bye? Bye, everybody. Okay, I'll let you go. Anyway, I do think that it can happen. I think it's possible. It most likely will be Pixar, unless Netflix gets over this hump that people have a problem with them. However, if iTunes buys Pixar, I think it's possible that it would happen. But we'll see about that. But I think it can happen one year, and almost everyone's like, how has it not happened? It should have happened with Snow White, frankly. We shouldn't be at this era, and it hasn't. They should have done it before. But I think it really has to be a weaker year in terms of live action. The only way most people will consider it. But I also think it could happen in our lifetime, but I think it might take a while. But it does feel like it's at least plausible now, so... Jordan Solaflo, do you think if the Oscars of today was in 1999, do you think The Matrix would have been nominated? Possibly. I think it probably would have. It would have had 10, 9, whatever nominees. I think it would have gotten in there because it got so many technical awards. I also think being John Malkovich would have been in there. I also think Magnolia would have been Best Picture. So it would have been a more interesting Best Picture because that was an actual disappointing crop of nominees for 1999. Catbot, what do you think is the future of the Oscars as a televised award show? I do think they're probably going to go back to a host. I think they're going to have to figure out a way to make it more exciting. They've done that with awards recently, but I think they're going to have to figure out how to do the host thing again. There's no way they can't. Anyway. Where are we? Sorry, we have a lot of questions. Oh, Thomas Flight predicted this in his Oscar editing analysis. Okay. I don't really know who that is. I'll check him out later. M. Blood T. You talked about how animation should take a tab at the hard genre. If you were to pitch one, what would it be? I have no clue. But I think they could. I think they could do it, but I don't have a pitch. But I think they should do something that uses animation. I don't think they should try to adhere to the live action genre as much as they have previously. I think they should use animation what it's good for. Buster's down here. That's who I'm petting constantly. He's really happy. Bruce Parker asks, will Birds of Prey win a makeup Oscar like Suicide Squad did? Jokes aside, out of all the DC films announced over the past few years, which one has the most potential? I think Shazam. Shazam, to me, I think is the best. Also the Batman. I think the Batman and another Shazam. So, Zane Powers, thoughts on the movies, The Irishman, Marriage Story, and Ford v Ferrari, since I didn't review those. He didn't say that, but I think The Irishman is way too long and kind of just does the greatest hits The Irishman has always done. Marriage Story, I feel like should have gotten more specifics, and if you get into the more specifics of what happened with Noah Baumbach's marriage, you kind of feel like he held back and made kind of more of a nicer end story to his divorce that probably wasn't the reality of it. Ford v Ferrari I actually really liked and cried at near the perfect lap thing. I think it was a really good studio picture, really held together very well. I don't think it's the most exciting. It's probably the least exciting movie, but it was actually fairly well made, and that says a lot about James Mangold. Question: why did Forrest Gump win Best Picture from Austin? I do not know. I think that's sort of lame. Why? That always confuses me. Hey, Buster, come on. What do you consider the biggest snub of the Oscars? Probably all the times Martin Scorsese didn't win. Like, how did he not win for Goodfellas, Raging Bull not winning for Best Picture, things like that. I'd say Scorsese. Zane Powers, question: Eisner, Bob Iger? I think Eisner was a little more creative. Iger is just a better businessman, but he's not creative. He couldn't create a new franchise, really. He just hires people and buys things, and he will go down as a rich executive, but he won't go down as maybe one of the most creative. He's used Feige and Lasseter and other people to give him that status, which is sort of lame. Okay. What do you consider the Baby Nut Saga spiritual successor to Food Fight? I from Not Plausible. I don't know. I find the whole thing, to me, very, very weird. The Baby Nut thing and all these baby characters. I'm not sure if I get it. So, Austin, who won the Razzie? Oh wait, no one cares. No one's won it yet. The nominations just came out. If you watched the last movie crap, so we don't know yet. We won't find out. I'm not sure when the awards are, but when they do, I will let you know on a future movie crap. Jordan Salaflo asked, do you think female directors can become more prominent in the directing category? I hope they do, and I think they will be pushed to, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. Austin, will you do a live reaction to the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards? Probably not. I don't think I will. Question: how could you not have talked about Baby Nut last week in the corporate baby uprising again? I'm sorry. I wasn't asked about it, I guess. You guys, I didn't really care about it, I guess. I don't know. The whole peanut thing, I'm not really... I like nuts, but I didn't care much about that. Bruce Parker, have you ever revisited an award-winning film lauded by one of these events that hasn't held up outside of Crash or Green Book? I asked because I watched Dallas Buyers Club a while back. People always say that about Shakespeare in Love and things like that. I think there's been a couple times, I have, and I can't think of a good example, because most of the time it's one that I liked and wanted to rewatch. I still liked it. I guess Forrest Gump doesn't hold up really for me. What was it? Mystic River didn't hold up for me. Chicago didn't hold up as well. Certain ones like that, I think. We should probably wrap up soon, but I'll answer a few more. Have you heard of Ken's film? He was a golden age of Mexican cinema actor, and Charlie Chaplin hold him the greatest comedian in the world. No, I haven't, but I will try to Google that later. The Westerner, do you think Disney should use Blue Sky to be more experimental? Personally, I thought they could have gotten away with making Spies in Disguise PG-13, for example. I don't know if they will, and I'm curious what they're going to do with Blue Sky. It sounds like they're working on interesting projects with it, and I think I think Disney has a huge organization problem that they need to figure out. Okay, Zane Powers, thoughts on people fearing the Sonic movie is causing Birds of Prey to tank? What? And are spreading lies about it to people to see Birds of Prey, like saying Sonic has homophobic jokes. I don't know what's going on with the Birds of Prey thing. It seems like a lot of nonsense. It didn't even bomb that bad. It definitely came in below expectations, but it's not a disaster. I think it'll probably do fine. It wasn't the greatest thing, but I don't know if you heard it got its name changed to Harley Quinn ... Birds of Prey, which probably should have been its name in the first place. So Ryan Walterson says, why must you disturb my slumber? Also, hi, I'm late because early sleep. That's fine, Ryan. Thanks. How's your Monday been from Not Plausible? It has been okay. Austin asks, who let the dogs out? Who? Probably Ray. Can you do an impression of the typical Oscar man? The thing, they're all angry. So, did Creech get snubbed? He definitely did. Buster, do you want to come back? You want to say bye to everybody? No? Okay, he's not into it. Alright, so I think that's it for this special edition of Movie Crap Live. Three Billboards was dated. Good call, Bruce Parker. This is the end of the special edition of Movie Crap Live. I will talk more about the Harley Quinn thing and other movie news on Saturday at 10:30 p.m. I'm not sure if there'll be a video between now and then other than the Sonic review, but we'll see. But anyway, thank you guys so much for coming out tonight, for the super chat, for getting me to do a wine glass with all this. This has been a ridiculous show, but it was fun, and as always, you guys are really cool. So I will see you guys next time. You guys have a good Monday, And I think I talked about all the Oscar things, so we don't need to talk about anything else with it. And yeah, there will not be any timestamps because it's just kind of talking about the Oscars. But on a normal Movie Crap Live, there are timestamps in the description. And check out I'm sure in the end card, check out the best musical or comedy video. It's pretty good from a couple years ago. And anyway, I will see you guys on Saturday. You guys have a good night, a good week, and subscribe if you would like to.